In the Igbo culture, a lot of meaning is attached to a name. So, what is the full meaning of Ejeckam, and what impact, if any, has that name had on the descendants of the man Ejeckam?
Well, I understand the full names. The full name of the Ejeckam company is Ejeckam Amakamife. The wider you travel, the better experience you acquire, the more educated you have on contemporary issues around you. That's just the direct thing. And then when you talk about impact, I would also, it depends on individual approach to individual understanding. So I would think that individuals, individual Ejeckam would respond to it as it appeals to a particular individual. That is to say, if you think that that name meant so much to you, and that our great-grandfather, or given our generation, our grandfather, did so much to establish respect and indeed establish respect within the area, then of course to that extent, one made every effort to be part of the aura. I'll have to choose my words on this. This because there is an aura that goes with that name. When we talk about respect, we talk about how people see the children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren of Ejeckams. It's not as if the great-grandchildren knew who the great-grandfather was, but stories handed down would give you the impression that he was a great guy, and everybody wanted to make sure that one's behavior corresponded with the value system with which the man was identified. Yes.
Okay, what does the family name mean to you as an individual?
Well, my response to this question would also derive from what reply I had given the last question he asked. I was a very, very young person, less than I was about 3 or 4 years when the man passed on.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that I knew him. But from the stories earlier handed down, he was a great man. And for me, therefore, to be the child or to be his grandson, it meant so much that I have a very responsible and respectable lineage and want to be so identified. It goes on to say, therefore, that I care for what I say, where I say it, what I do, where I do those things, and with whom I find myself relating. In other words, I don't want anything that will be seen to suggest that I have no full regard for that man called Ejeckam.
Okay, Ejeckam is an Igbo name, and why do we have C in the middle of the name? And how did it come about, and what is the reason behind it?
Well, that's an interesting question. I did ask that question too. Our own father, Gabriel, attended St. Paul's College, Oka. And even before he attended St. Paul's College, Oka, he had already started wooing a mother for a wife. And those days, not like now, where a young man would come home with a young girl and blot out his parents. I've seen somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with. It never happens. So happened. Those days, there was this issue of you have to know the parents of the spouse to be, make inquiries about their background and all that. And in our father's case, he worked closely with our maternal grandfather. And so there was this knowledge of our father's own prospective in-laws then. So while he was at St. Paul's College, Oka, he was also communicating with his wife-to-be, who begat all of us in that lineage. And right there also at St. Paul's College, Oka, was another Ejeckam from Uruala.
Uruala is where is Uruala?
Uruala is in Imo State.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it so happened that descendants of that Ejeckam have one or two things in common. One of them is called Martin, who is an architect. And Gabriel Ejeckam's youngest child is called Martin. Martin Ejeckam of Uruala, the first name of the wife was Grace. That wife is now late. She used to be the state's architect, the old Anambra state. And Gabriel's wife, that's her mother, her first name was Grace. So whilst both of them were at this at St. Paul's College, Oka, deliberately, because you see, you could discern who wrote you by looking at the handwriting. Or you could say, I know who wrote this letter, I can guess correctly too. This man was in the habit of opening our father's letter. And according to Papa, he did that a number of times, so he had to complain to one Reverend A.M. Gelstop, who was then the principal of St. Paul's College, Oka. I met Reverend Gelstop in 1962. In fact, I spent my Christmas holidays with him. He was then rather in 1962 a bishop of the Bingham Cathedral of Nottingham in England. So, Papa now complained to him. And of course, a white man being the principal, I wanted to sort out, he didn't see how he was going to ask one of them to change his name. Had to advise my father to put, or our father to put the name, letter C before the K. And that solved the problem of deliberately opening our father's letter from the other Ejeckam. So that's how it came by.
That's an interesting one. The Ejeckams and his descendants appear to be more successful in life endeavor
Than who?
than Ejeckam's brothers and his cousins.
Well, I think the issue of embracing education comes into play here. When you look at our grandfather, talking from our own generation, he didn't go to school. Gabriel Ejeckam, who is a direct son of Naale, embraced education and therefore had this contact with the white men, the missionaries and all that. So to a large extent, that influenced his own life. He had to go to school. He learned how to read and write. And those days, remember that the missionaries came with a number of carrots. 1, education. 2, health. 3, religion. To pull the people away from their traditional religion, to embrace Christianity. And so, Gabriel Ejeckam, being use the word in quotes, forerunner in that respect, had the opportunity of going to school. He attended government school, Ajali, and passed Standard 6 in 1924, started teaching in 1925. At that age, he was posted to Ogidi, St. Philip's Ogidi, Those days there were no vehicles. You had to travel by, go to your person on foot. So he now had this opportunity of letting his own siblings into education. Or quite like to call it educational opportunities. Whereas Ken Ejeckam's brothers, or as we said, siblings, they did not get away from this traditional religion. There was nobody from their own lineage that had this opportunity of embracing Christianity, and therefore what Christianity, the effects Christianity had on individual development. So because Gabriel Ejeckam, being a son of Ken Ejeckam, embraced education, Christianity and all that went with it, it now affected to a very large extent the developmental process of everybody from that lineage, going to school, going to being Christians, and of course, you will agree with me that that also, to a large extent, dictated your relationship with people, your attitudes, your values, and all that.
Next, what has been the roles of the wives in the family?
The whose wives of Ken Ejeckam or the younger Ejeckams?
The younger Ejeckams.
Well, I would say that, one, when a woman gets married into a family, she's moving into a completely different life or family structure with different values and all that. So these wives coming into a Ejeckam family, there is already a family structure that has its own value system, as I said earlier on, the Ejeckams. One thing also, let me put as a kind of digression, is contentment, self-contentment. And every Ejeckam, descendant of Ken Ejeckam, had this thing there, contentment. We were not inordinately ambitious. Nobody said one should not be ambitious, but we were not inordinately ambitious. So these wives would come in and of course see a standard, what one would regard as a standard of values in the family. And you get married into a family, the ultimate aspiration is to be part of that family.
Okay.
And being part of that means imbibing the values, the culture, whatever the family stood for. And to that extent, I would say, therefore, that wives married into the Ejeckam family have tried as much as possible to inculcate in themselves and their children this value system that the Ejeckams are known for, which we also inherited from the old man.
How about the female Ejeckams who are married to outsiders?
Well, one is that I like the word you use, married to outsiders, where it's not like the old times when cousins married cousins. You have to marry people from outside your own family lineage. So they were not sold, they were married out. And they were known as Opo or Ada. And in every Igbo authentic family, the Ada, once married out, also retains her position as a member of that family. There are certain things, issues that will crop up, that Ada married out will come back with other Adas or other Opos and seek to solve or reconcile whatever differences in their families. That is one. Two, in Igbo culture, it is not always approved that, in fact, it is said a kind of maxim in our Igbo culture. In other words, no matter how rich or how wonderful or whatever your family is, you, the woman, once you get married, you are not going to go to your husband's home and begin to give instructions left, right, and center, refuse to accept the value system of your married, the family to which you are married. Therefore, the Ejeckam mothers, they go to their husbands' homes and ensure that they behave so that no commas, in quotes, no stains come onto the Ejeckam family because of their behavior in their husband's homes. They make efforts to ensure that while they are not servile, while they are not slavish, while they are not the kind of people who want to live by the nose in their husband's homes, while they don't seek to challenge the authority of the man instead of the home, they ensure that whatever they say, how they say it, their behavior, everything goes to enhance the value system of their husband's soul. One more point I want to make about the Ejeckam family, for which the younger generation must imbibe, is that we are giving to expressing or showing goodwill towards people who are not even Ejeckams. Let me give an example. Do you know that quite often I found an Ejeckam going to congratulate, encourage in different ways anybody putting up a story building within Ogru village? He's happy that another person is making progress. It is not very often you find that kind of attitude amongst people. Sometimes others will be wondering, others will be saying, I mean, why, how come this kind of progress is coming to that family? But unlike the Ejeckam family, they will go and start congratulating such families, say, oh, congratulations, and sometimes they give material things like money or materials if somebody is building a house to encourage such people. I mean, I can give instances where some of us have gone on to express this delight at other people's progress. That is one aspect. Two, taking off on your own without urge to help people who are less endowed. I'll give you an instance. There are many people in that town that the Ejeckam families, the Ejeckam siblings are sponsoring their education without even some members of the families of those who are enjoying this sponsor knowing. Quietly assisting people. That is not being done so that people can start pointing fingers of praise at them, no. But to ensure that people, certain values are not lost. For instance, certain potentials are not lost. You find certain families in the Zulu, or even outside the Zulu, where you have brilliant children, but because the financial resources are not there, they are not sent to school. Quite often, you find an Ejeckam going and picking someone from that family and planting a seed, as it were. Right now, there is a Ejeckam Dynasty Foundation. This foundation, one aspect of the foundation is to award scholarships for those in tertiary institutions. This started in the year 2000 and been consistently done. Initially, it was awarded to 10 people every year. Eventually increased, as at now, to 15. And this foundation award has gone beyond Kisulu, right from the beginning. It has also now gone beyond Anambra State. Some people from Imo State, from the southeast, have reached this award. So you look at a situation where the family members are saying, if God has blessed us, why don't we extend the same type of opportunity to others? So it's something that you don't find in very many families. And I think it's something that we should really thank God for. That He has given us because of the Christian background most Ejeckams have now, because quite frankly speaking, you cannot be saying that everybody is a Christian, in quotes. We all go to church, one or the other, but you never find within the Ejeckam family somebody who still worships idols. No. Yeah. So we are happy to say we appreciate the need to help others who are in need. And that's one aspect you don't find in very many families. if anything, antagonism, quarrel, unnecessary bigotry. Quarreling as to why should somebody do this? But in a family, a Ejeckam family, if somebody makes progress, he builds a house, he buys a car, he acquires educational qualification, everybody is excited. And you find people even going ahead as to organize a get-together to celebrate. This is something that is unique with the Ejeckam family. And many families like that should, as much as possible, copy that kind of behavior. The town will know a better peace than you have now. I'm happy to say that. And I start to be challenged. Yes.
This video is being, or this program,
Okay.
the website we are preparing is for to enlighten the Ejeckams, the present, young ones, and the future who are scattered all over the world.
Yes.
To enlighten them about the family and the name Ejeckam and of the vision of the man Ejeckam. So what advice would you want to give to the viewers?
Okay, let's start with how I rate this exercise we talked about. I think it's a beautiful program that this website is being created or established. In other words, the very young Ejeckams and those yet unborn will grow up and know and appreciate their backgrounds, their own history, because this is what this program is trying to establish. Those of them, like I would say, my great-great-grandchild, would not know physically who I was. But going through this program, that child will be able to say, this is where I come from. This is what my great-grandparents were known as. Mind you, I said earlier that the issue of a wife coming in and making effort to live by the precepts of that family, of the Ejeckam family, comes into play now. Because the wife comes in from another family background, different value system. It's not the same thing as you have always within the Ejeckams. So when they come in, they bring you from their own unit, from their family background. What may be alien or foreign, if you like, to the Ejeckam values and standards. But the combination of both will give whether the Ejeckam respect, in quotes, or the Ejeckam values, in quotes, or the Ejeckam structure, family structure, remains or is consistent, will depend on how they themselves apply themselves to ensuring that what they met in the Ejeckam family sustains. For instance, if a woman comes in from a family that's known as thieves, she gets married into a Ejeckam family, and she wants to live the life of typical Ejeckams, she will make sure that her children don't steal. She will make sure that her children have respect beyond the gates of the family compound. In other words, that her behavioral patterns is in tandem with the expectation of decent society. If you get what I'm trying to say. Right. So it is good that this program is on. So the young ones, generations unborn, will have respect for the name Ejeckam, for what it is, what it was, and what it stood for. That will also, to a very large extent, inform their own behaviors, their values, what they stand for, and all that. So I would advise them to stick to it, ensure that their behavior gives pride to whoever carries that name. The name EJ is CKAM, because that's a distinct Ejeckam from any other Ejeckam. There is another Ejeckam at not Umawolo. What is it now? Mbauku.
In Anambra State.
In Anambra State. That also is spelled as Ejeckam. In fact, when our mother died in 2007, the family came, visited. Don't ask me why they came. One thing I know is that our sister, Mrs. Eda Semadu, who is or was, but who is still a principal in the community secondary school there, is quite popular. Again, in conformity with what I said about the Ejeckam values, she's very hardworking, and this attitude to work endeared her to the people of Mbauku. So when Cecilia Ejeckam's mother died, that's her mother, they came in full force to sympathize with her. It's an example of what I was saying, that as an Ejeckam, one tried as much as possible to behave in such a manner as to give credibility, to give respect, to give acceptance of what a decent society requires to the Ejeckam name, which he or she carries, as for the girls as well as for the boys.
Okay, thank you for your insight. It has been an educative one, and we hope that the future generation will carry on with the legacy. Thank you once again.
Thank you, and God bless.
Bless it.